Hello and welcome to episode 27 of Missed Mando, Ontario's source for the latest in the disc golf world. I'm your host, Robbie Holden, joined by my friends and co-hosts Sean Galbraith and Galen Naidu-Harris. Shawnee G, how you doing, my friend? What you been up to since our last episode?
Doing fantastic. Thank you, Robbie. It's great to be back here on episode 27. This is wild. The main thing that I've been up to is the Toronto Slush, which we're going to talk about in not too long from now. That was such a fantastic event. Galen, what have you been up to?
Same here, buddy. It's always good to be back with my boys here on another episode of Miss Mando. But all I've been doing in the interim was showing up and playing the Slush. I haven't held a disc other than that, I don't think, in about 6 weeks. And I don't know when the next time is that I will. But I think we're gonna get to the Slush in a minute, and I'll have more to say when we get there. So that's the only thing that I've had going on. Robbie, how about you?
I don't think I've picked up a disc in like 2 months at this point. It has been quite a while. I am very much sick and tired of this amount of snow that we have right now. Yeah, I used to enjoy winter a lot more. Now I have a job where I have to work outside in all of this snow. And I'm a utility locator, getting to gas meters and stuff when the sides of properties have like 6 feet of snow is not enjoyable. So it has taken my love of winter totally out of it. Plus, I've never enjoyed playing disc golf as much in the winter. So combine having to work through it, and it's taking disc golf out of my life, and winter can get out of here, can take a hike, can kick rocks. But we are almost into tournament season. I don't know if the snow is going to melt by the first time we hit our first tournaments here in Ontario, which are coming up in a couple weeks, but we shall see. But yeah, not a whole lot going on with me here, fellas. I am just jonesed. I am jazzed, fired up for some disc golf to be back, and we're going to get into our first Disc Golf Pro Tour preview of the year a little later on in this episode. It's right around the corner. But Shawnee G, you did mention the Toronto Slush 2025. Let's throw it on over to you. Give a little recap of how that went.
The Slush went down on a snowy Saturday at the Toronto Beaches course. 38 brave souls started the event, and surprisingly, all of them survived and finished it as well. The format was a success, or at least was tolerated, with 1 round of 9 holes playing the course as open, and then 2 rounds with ridiculous Mandos in the classic Mayhem format, including the debut of a new "The Floor is Lava, every shot that doesn't go in the basket is a hazard stroke" format, which I think was super fun, and we can look for that at future Mayhem events. I think that innovation was solid. In the end, we raised $920. And that was for the Toronto Daily Bread Food Bank. Again, this was a co-production of Missed Mando, Queer Disc Golf, and Chain Link Disc Golf with Jeff and Kara. They put in the Beaches course, and they know it better than anyone. They were there as well. It was great to see them. And we probably like a trunk load of food. People were just throwing cans in Galen's rental car trunk. I don't know. It was probably some damage. It was pretty cool. We posted a photo today up on Instagram of all the food that we collected, and it was a lot, and it was awesome, all to a very, very good cause. In the end, we had 2 winners, of course. We had, over in the pro side, Toronto's Calvin Rurda shot an amazing -6 in the pro division. Only, I think, maybe 3 people, Galen, if you've correct me if I'm wrong, I think maybe we had 3 people under par.
I think you're right. I was also going to say Calvin, who notably registered as an amateur. Calvin Actual Rorda of Disc Golf Ontario fame.
Yeah, an actual pro player registered as an AM just to see if we would notice. And Listener, we did not notice until the day of, and then he was violently ejected like Jazzy Jeff from the Fresh Prince Uncle's house into the Pro Division. Unlike our winner in the AM Division, the sandbagger extraordinaire, Mr. Galen Naidu Harris, who shall never ever play in an AM Division in a Mayhem event in the future. He won the AM with a score of a +3, which was a very respectable score, even in the Pro Division. So, congrats, I guess.
Yeah, so I just, I have a few things that I wanted to say. First of all, to everybody else in the division,
Your mic.
I don't know which way to face it with a flip camera. If you want to hold this L for me, everyone else, get good. That's, I want to thank God, my family, my podcast co-hosts. But no, boys, it was a really great time. I'm really glad that we got to host another Mayhem. I think maybe the Snowbank or like the Snowdrift might have been a more accurate name than the Slush. I think the Slush was aspirational. Maybe the Snowdrift was more descriptive of the day because it was coming down. But I had a blast. I was playing with, we played with the same cards all day. I had Dan, Adam, and Alec on my card. And I was either that day or it was about to be Alec's birthday. So he was having an absolute blast. His partner came by midway through the round and hand delivered a couple of beers to us. So we were able to sip a cold one out in the cold and enjoy the latter half of our round. And also to everybody else in the AM division, I don't know what you all were doing because I was playing with a bag of putters because Sean told me it was four speeds and less, and I didn't see his email the night before because I typically tend to ignore anything Sean says or does. And so I was not aware that it was a full bag. And so I showed up and I said, Sean, I know you want to move through the Pro Division. The fastest disc that I have is a Temple. I am playing in the Amateur Division. And I don't think I definitely wouldn't have podiumed. I might have been like top half of the Pro Division, but I think that was fair. And I also, I think did my absolute best to give back because the whole point of the event was fun. It was having fun and giving back. So I also took down, of course, 3 CTPs because, again, get good. And donated all of, I think it was 3. It might even have been 4. I donated all of them back. Donated 1 to the birthday boy, 2 or 3 back to Andy, and then half of my winnings back to the Daily Bread. Just enough to cover my entry fee and the gas that day is what I hunt onto. So shout out to the Daily Bread for being an awesome local organization helping to fight food insecurity. Shout out Sean for running an awesome tournament, even if you somehow did not manage to get rid of the sandbaggers. And shout out Robbie for not showing up and pretending like the event did not happen or exist and not being part of our team.
Listen, I did not pretend like it didn't exist. I wish that I was out there. Actually, low-key, I kind of don't wish that I was out there because there's a lot of snow.
Snow is deep. Snow is deep.
Yeah.
It's definitely a ribbon match.
I kept seeing, I can't remember if it was from the beaches or if it was Marilyn Bell, but I saw earlier in the week I had seen somebody taking a photo of, they went out and had freshly shoveled off some of the tee pads, and it was just a sunken rectangle of like 3 feet down into the snow. I couldn't believe how much snow there was in Toronto. So I think that one might have been Marilyn Bell that I saw that picture at, but the beaches obviously would have been very similar. So kudos to you guys out there. Congrats, Galen, on the win. And I see you put your finger up there. What
I just wanted to say shout out, and maybe I missed it because I just had a message buzz and looked away, but shout out to Dave Rue for, I believe, shoveling a lot of the tee pads the day before. So Rooster, thanks, because it was the only part of the course that was not snowy was the tee pads, and super awesome of you to help us out with that.
They were in great shape. I can't wait for the next Mayhem. We don't know when that will be. We don't know where that will be, but definitely stay tuned here to Miss Mando, and you will hear it here first.
Absolutely. I'll try and make it out for the next Miss Mando event. I had so much fun at the one that we ran. The first one we ran in Guelph. Couldn't make it here, but we'll definitely make it for the next one. Well, we've got lots of other tournaments coming up, though. Shawnee G, let's throw it back over to you.
We are now deep into tournament registration season. So many great TDs are dropping. They're amazing events on Disc Golf Scene. Definitely go over there to check out what is coming up and when you need to register. But here are some amazing events to highlight. First, the Toronto Open has a flex start running from March 8th to 16th. You play 18 at Bell, 18 at Beaches. It's low cost. It's fun. It's a flex start. It's not sanctioned. Definitely check that out. And hopefully the snow melts a little bit before I've got to play my round at the Toronto Open at Scarlet Woods. The GTA Cup was there on Saturday this week, and it was a slog. It was a slog. There's a lot of snow. The other event that is another event that's currently open is the Guelph Ice Bowl. That is going down at Eastview on March 22nd. There are still some spaces available there. There's not a lot, but check it out before that thing fills up. Always a good time out at Eastview. There are two big registrations that are dropping in the next couple days when this, relative to when this episode launches. The first, tomorrow on Friday, is a big one. The Project 15 Open. This taking place, it's Gabe Robinson on the top rated course in Ontario, Project 15. The pros are playing on April 19th. The MA and FA 1 and 2, they're playing on Sunday the 20th. And all of the age protected divisions, that's 40 and up, and the juniors, they are playing on Easter Monday the 21st. It's the first tournament that I can think of in a little while. We've got 3 days, different divisions playing the course, but there should be lots of room for everybody to sign up that way. But I would expect that this thing is going to sell out because Project 15, everybody loves playing. Everybody loves playing the event there. The other big registration this week is the White Spruce Open. Spencer Young is back with another amazing event at White Spruce. That's taking place June 5th and 6th, and registration opens on March 2nd. That one is absolutely guaranteed to sell out quickly. Get in on that fast. Set an alarm. You do not.
Just a little note. It is actually July 5th and 6th, not
July.
June.
Thank you. July 5th and 6th. Still going to sell out regardless of the month. Spencer puts on a great event. The Wild Country Open is open for registration. This takes place over the Labor Day long weekend, and it should be another great event. Last year, it was the Wild Country Challenge. There were no pro divisions, but this year it is the Open. The pros are going to be there shredding this super long, super fun course. And if the wind is up as it was last year, it is going to be absolute chaos. It should be super, super fun. Next, 2025 Guelph Royale, happening July 26th and 27th. If you're not playing the Lake Ontario Open, which we talked about on a previous episode, you want to get in on this one. Same weekend. Registration opens March 2nd. This, Sunday? For this event, March 2nd, registration is for the Guelph Club members only. And then March 3rd, it drops for everybody else. This will be, as always, a 3-round event, 2 rounds shotgun at Eastview and 1 round tee times over at Vic Valley. Always sells out. Fantastic event. You definitely want to get in on that. Speaking of Eastview, we've got Chains for Change. Queer Disc Golf is bringing their event back to Eastview. Registration opens on the 1st for the event on June 14th. There's also Canadian women's event sign-up season. There are 5. We have 5 CWE events. These are such great events. Men volunteer at these events. Make them a huge smashing success. They look for caddies sometimes. They look for spotters. They look for general help around the courses and the events. And as the women are playing, men, you can definitely get involved and make these events the smash hit that they always are. First up is going to be CWE Kawartha Lakes, Peterborough. That is taking place on May 10th. Registration is open. Next one, May 24th, is CWE St. Catharines. That is open as well. An interesting one is going down on May 28th. That's Sandy Hollow. That's the CWE Barry. This one's on a Wednesday in the evening. That's pretty cool. I don't know if it's glowy at that point, but it's certainly an evening round, and registration is open for that too. Then we've got the Abbey Gardens Open plus CWE. That is taking place on May 31st, and sign up is open for that one too. And then last but not least is CWE at Newcastle. This is coming on June 21st. Registration is, by the time this episode releases, registration will be open. This year it's a doubles event. The first round being a bring your own partner if you have one, and the second round is an optional random doubles. Sean Galbraith, Miss Mando, one more CWE event to drop in here. CWE at Bronte. Registration is open now. It is taking place on May 10th. Another amazing CWE that you gotta be a part of. You absolutely want to be playing out at Newcastle. You want to be playing all of these amazing CWE events and volunteering at them. But again, we've got so many events coming up this season in Ontario. Thank you to all the TDs and all the players out there. Definitely set alarms, because unlike some parts of the US where they're seeing decline in tournament registrations, we are not seeing that in Ontario. We are seeing huge wait lists as soon as things open, and you don't want to miss out on another great season.
Definitely do not want to miss out. We've got a lot of great events coming up in the 2025 season. And, as we were mentioning at the start of the show, I just can't wait for the snow to be gone and the disc golf to be here. Best time of year is when you're out on the course slinging some discs. But speaking of a area where they definitely do not have snow and are out slinging discs, the 2025 All-Star Challenge is taking place this week at Olympus in Brooksville, Florida, on the day before the start of the Supreme Flight Open. So that will be today, as you're listening to this. In fact, this episode, unless we change our schedule, will release by the time this event is done. So this will all be in the past, but maybe we'll mess around with some scheduling. But either way, the way that this is working this year is it's going to be a doubles event, top 6 in the MPO draft from the bottom 6 in FPO, top 6 FPO draft from the bottom 6 in MPO. And that has given us some great teams that I'll run through real quick. We got Gannon Burr and Rebecca Cox, Ricky Wysocki and Haley King, Nicholas Antala and Anniken Steen, Calvin Heimberg and Silva Sodernen, Isaac Robinson and Henna Blomroos, Anthony Varela and Paige Pierce, Missy Gannon and Joey Buckets Anderson, Holland Hanley and Chris Dickerson, Owen Scoggins and Ezra Robinson, Evelina Salonen and Paul Macbeth, Ella Hansen and James Proctor, and finally, Kat Murch and Matt Oram. This is also going to, the way that they're doing the schedule is that the seeds will play on the same card. So the number 6 seed MPO plus their partner will play against the number 6 FPO seed with their partner, and so on for the rest of the seeds. Seeds 4 to 6 plus their teammates will be teeing off from 9:30 to 10 a.m. There'll be a bit of a midday break for some meet and greet stuff. So if you're on site, that's really cool. And then seeds 1 to 3 and their teammates will be teeing off from 2 to 2:30 with coverage available, of course, on DGN. Fellas, taking a look at this list of teams here, who do you guys have your eyes on as a potential challenger, or who you think should be the favorite going into this event? Looking at it myself, I really love the combo of Holland Hanley and Chris Dickerson. I think that is a very solid double squad. I'm not sure what you guys are thinking. Let's go
Well, we're both pointing at each other.
one
I'm
of you.
I'm going to go friend of the show and notable very good disc golfer, Rebecca Cox and Gannon Burr. I like that as a combo. I think that's going to be pretty tough to beat. I mean, Holland and Chris are going to be deadly, but since Sean's not using his brain, I'm going to use mine, lock in Gannon and Rebecca.
I mean, how do you not think a combo with Ganon as being a potentially very strong team? I'm looking at who am I looking at? I'm looking at Owen Scoggins and Ezra Robinson. This is not a great course for Owen. It's pretty long. And there's a lot of up and down and some hills where the length gets lengthier. And so that's where I think they're going to be putting getting Ezra on board to get down the fairway. But then when it's coming to those big putts, Owen, I think, is going to deliver. I don't know what her off season's been like, if she's just been hanging out and doing nothing, but I like that combo of incredible putter, incredible player, absolutely solid. What I'm really going to be curious to see, we still don't know what's going on with Haley King and her bag. And this is going to be the debut of whatever that is. We know she's not on Team Innova, but there, as far as I can see, and I keep an eye on things, I have not seen a single rumor. I have not seen a video where you can tell what disc she's slinging. So I have absolutely no idea what she's going to be throwing for this first event. It's going to be super interesting to see. I'm not even sure if she signed up to play the Supreme Flight Open. Last time I checked, I didn't see her name on that list, but maybe that's changed. But certainly a combination of her and Ricky Wysocki, also with a new bag, but absolutely shredding it with his new bag so far on Team Discraft. I mean, you definitely can't count out that team.
Sorry, I was looking to see if I could. I was looking to see if I could quickly pull up, while you were finishing talking, the registration list for the Supreme Flight Open. I couldn't get it in time, so I can't see if Haley's on there or not, but wouldn't surprise me. And definitely going to be very interesting to see what her bag is looking like. As you alluded to, she's no longer on Team Innova. Haven't seen any announcements on who she will be representing this year, and honestly haven't even heard like any sort of rumors on what it could be. So very interesting to see there. Anything else from?
Sorry, I did just pull it up, and she is not registered.
Not registered. Interesting. So she's going to be in for the All-Star event, hanging out the day before, and then just going to bounce. So we will see. Maybe that's more reason to think that. I mean, her and Ricky together, that is one heck of a team. If Haley's on her game, that's insane. And maybe she's just going to come in, win the All-Star event with Rick, and then bounce and say, you know what, see you when I see you. Who knows? But that'll definitely be interesting to watch. Any other points from you guys on the All-Star event that you want to touch on? No. All right. Well, we are going to move on. We are going to move on to the event that is going to be following the All-Star event starting on Friday, formerly known as the Chess.com Invitational. This year is the Discraft Supreme Flight Open. Galen, let's throw it over to you for a little preview.
Yes, sir. Speaking of the Discraft Supreme Flight Open, as we just were talking about Haley, you are absolutely right, my friend. Formerly the Chess.com Invitational, the Discraft, to say it 3 times in a row, not that fast. Supreme Flight Open. We'll be back at the Olympus Disc Golf Course this year in Brooksville, Florida. The second year the course has been on tour. Last year in MPO, we had a top 3 of Anthony Barella at -18, taking down his first Pro Tour win and first of 4 last year, with just a 1-stroke cushion over Ricky Wysocki at 17 down and 2 over Aaron Gossage at -16. The FPO top 3 featured a little bit more score separation, with Evelina Salonen at -16, taking down her first Pro Tour win. And of course, she also went on to win Worlds last year. And 5 strokes between Evelina and Ella Hansen at -11. And then we had a 2-way tie between Missy Gannon and Holland Handley at -10. As usual, Kristen Lett, formerly of Kristen Tatar fame, will not be playing the event. But all of the podium finishers from last year are back. And we also have some friends of the show who are going to be back this year. Chantel Bedinsky, Rebecca Dawn, Thomas Gilbert, Albert Tum, Luke Taylor, Liesra Midling, and Rebecca Cox. And late breaking news, as of recording time, Sophia Dunica is off of the wait list and will also be playing. So, with all of that said, we definitely have to make sure we have our DGN subscriptions active because live disc golf is back, and this is an amazing event to start the season. It's been a rainy couple of days, but we're hoping it dries out. We have 8:45 a.m. for starting for our FPO coverage for each of our 3 rounds, and 2 o'clock for MPO coverage. So get your DGN pulled up on your TV, get some popcorn, maybe crack a beer if you're feeling so inclined, and get ready for some disc golf. With that said, I believe, gentlemen, we're going to get into some picks for this event. So I am going to put Robbie first into the hot seat. Robbie, who do you like at the tournament?
All right, first up into the hot seat. I actually didn't prepare for this before. We've got some other segments coming up that I did some prep for, and didn't do any preparation for this one. But I think it is going to be pretty easy for me. We know who won this last year, obviously, was Anthony Barella, had a killer event, but somebody that almost chased him down on the final day and went on to have an incredible season, would have been arguably the best season of all time if it wasn't for Mr. Gannon Burr having no doubt one of the best seasons of all time. And I'm going to go with Ricky Wysocki on the MPO side. He finished second place here last year. I think he can definitely do it again, coming off of a win in his first event with Discraft as well at the Shelly Sharp Memorial in Arizona. So I think he's got some good juju going there. And I am being first here is where this kind of gets tough because there's a couple names that I absolutely want to take. If you followed along with our picks last year, you know exactly who I'm talking about. My girl that I rode with all season, but I am going to go with. I am actually going to go with. She was so impressive here last year. I'm going to go with her again. I'm going with Evelina Salonen. She was electric here last year. Her putting was significantly better than it had been in the past, and she is just so good off the tee that all of these very long, challenging holes, she can definitely attack and has more looks for birdies than anyone else. So even if she's not making some of them because her putting isn't the best in the world, she's going to have way more birdie opportunities than everybody else. So I'm going to go with Evelina Salonen.
Can't even remotely disagree. I mean, you've got somebody who, as you were just saying, arguably had the second best MPO season of all time. Certainly one that is way, way up there. You have the reigning champ, the world champ. Love those picks. Ricky and Evelina off the board. Sean, who do you like for the event?
I'm going to AB for back-to-back wins. Just like Robbie picking Evelina. AB has had an amazing start to the season, going second place in the first two events of the season. So it's averaging higher than Mr. Richard Wysocki. He did so well here last year, which probably means he's going to absolutely collapse and do terrible. But I'm going Anthony Barella. I think he's had a really great start to the season. Over on FPO, this is a course where you need precision distance. Having now played this course, it is insane, some of the lines and some of the gaps that you have to hit off the tee with OB everywhere. I am going Sofia Donica.
Let's go.
She's played the course like once, maybe twice. It was raining today when she did it. Hopefully the rain has cleared by the time they tee off on Friday. But I'm going to take Sofia She can smash and she can putt, and I wanna see her. Yep.
I love that. I will never disagree with anybody who is betting on friend of the show, Sophia Dunica, and Anthony Barella looks to be off to as hot of a start this year as last year. So love those two picks. That said, I think if at the start of this you had told me I needed to pick two players who can throw for power and precision, I would have taken Gannon Burr and Holland Hanley, and they are both still on the board. So I'm going to take Gannon and Holland, and I will thumb my nose at the two of you for somehow leaving them on the board for so long. But I also can't argue with any of the picks that have been taken ahead of me. So I like my two picks, and I also like your two picks each, gentlemen. So that is our Pro Tour segment, and I believe it is time to move onwards and upwards. Robbie, should I throw it over to you?
Yes, bring it on over to me. Let's keep this train a chugging. First one of the 2025 season, we get the train a chugging. Yeah, obviously for anybody that didn't get it from me alluding to it during my pick, Holland Hanley was the other one that I was debating between. I picked her a lot last year. It will definitely happen a lot this year as well, but I am feeling the Evelina Salonen pick on this one. And those are all great picks, gentlemen. One thing just to sort of clear up for us and for anybody listening and following along with our picks all year, this will be scored the same as it was last year. So it's just going to simply be where the finishing position of all these players will be added up throughout the season, and you want to have the lowest total overall. So you want to keep picking players that are finishing 1, 2, 3, and avoiding all the ones finishing down lower. And at the end of the year, we will see who has overall picked the lowest players. Well, it's now time for our feature interview of the episode. We are very excited to bring on a Pro Tour winner from the 2024 season, and adding to our list of international champions that we have with Canadian, Estonian, and now Norwegian. We have Anniken Steen joining us, and we will be right back on Missed Mando. Our next guest joined the PDGA in 2018 and immediately played FPO, winning 12 of 25 events in her first 3 seasons and never finishing lower than 5th place. She was the Euro Tour champion in 2022 and started touring in 2023, where she collected 2 top 10s, but she fully announced herself to the tour in 2024 with 10 top 10s, including most notably winning the Texas State Championships over a stacked field, becoming the first ever Elite Series winner from Norway. We've had Canadian national champions, an Estonian national champion, and now a 3-time Norwegian national champion. It's a pleasure to welcome to the Missed Mando podcast, Anniken Steen. Anniken, thanks so much for joining.
And thank you so much for having me. And I really like that introduction. I think that's the best introduction I've ever had.
Well, we have to bring the best when we are bringing on the best to the show. And we're very excited to have you here and talk a lot about your success on the Pro Tour, of course. But let's start at the beginning of your disc golf career. I mentioned in the intro that you joined the PDGA in 2018. Had you been playing disc golf before you joined the PDGA and went straight into FPO? And sort of how did you find the sport, or who got you into it?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, so I did play like a bit before that. Not like I didn't compete kind of like that, but I mean, I found the sport for the first time in 2015 and didn't really like it right away. It was a friend of me and my husband that had been to the US, and he picked up the sport there, and he knew that there was a local course where we live, so he just took us there, and I was horrible at it. I had never been doing any sports before that kind of where I had to use my hands throwing stuff. So that was really, really hard. And it wasn't until 2017 where I said to myself that, well, if I'm just gonna keep showing up to a course and not getting any better. I don't want to do that. So I really want to start practice more often and actually become good at it. So that's what I consider the first year when I'm actually practicing disc golf.
I love that you basically went from this kind of to I'm just going to be a professional disc golfer.
Yes.
With like not really much FA3, FA2, FA1, work your way. No, FPO right from the start. Was there much of an amateur women's scene in Norway at the time when you were starting, or was it just FPO was the only place to play?
Yeah, that is kind of how it works mostly, or it did work like that in Europe for a long time, that you just don't really have any amateur divisions because there are too few women. So you just go right into FPO. And I didn't really think about it. I was just like, okay, that's what we're doing. And yeah, so my first PDGA event was the national championships, actually. Yeah.
Why not? Just,
Why not? And I was on the wait list and I just got in. So
Frying pan into the fire. Okay, so let's talk Norway. Despite my brown skin and my short black hair, I actually also am Norwegian on my dad's side. I feel like we always hear about how popular, at least over in North America, about the popularity of disc golf in like Sweden and Finland. I haven't heard very much about the disc golf scene in Norway. How is the Norwegian disc golf scene? Is it just as popular as in some of these other Nordic countries, and just for whatever reason the news hasn't reached our ears here in Canada?
I would say that Finland is still way ahead of us. Like, you have all these young kids really getting into the sport up there. Sweden is also growing their sport like a lot. And I would say that Norway is catching up, which is really, really good. But of course, you hear also about Estonia, where they make it to like all the national news, Christine, obviously. And that does not happen in Norway yet. I think I've been at, like, it was broadcasted, the national championship was broadcasted 1 year at national television, which was really cool. But except from that, it doesn't really show up in the news or anything. But it's definitely growing, which is good.
Well, I think as your success on the Pro Tour continues, we're going to see Norway in the news a little bit more often.
Let's hope so.
One thing that I've been really impressed about with disc golf in Norway was, and this stat came out recently with the UDisc disc golf report, was that I think it was for like the fourth straight year, Norway had a year of adding more than, was it more than 100 or more than 1,000 disc golf courses? Maybe must be more than 100 disc golf courses. New courses opening in a year for that many consecutive years, which obviously just gives more and more opportunity for more people to start being introduced to the sport. Do you see more? Have you seen that sort of scene and more people get into disc golf in Norway? I know for us, we've seen a big boom in it, especially after the pandemic. There was a large boom. So have you seen similar things in Norway?
Yeah, after the COVID or during COVID, like other countries, that was one of few sports that you could actually do, or hobbies that didn't require any, like, yeah, you could go out and play 3 people. And I think that's how a lot of people got into the sport. So that was definitely a boom, and it's not really growing as fast as the COVID period, but like you said, there is a lot more courses coming up, so people are more exposed to it, which will make it grow faster, like even for the kids at school.
100%. So in 2022, you had a really impressive season, collecting 5 wins, including your second straight Norwegian championship. You also became the Euro Tour champion, and you cashed in the US for the first time with a 16th place finish at Throw Pink. Did your performance that season give you the confidence in your game to then jump into full-time touring in 2023?
I think it was because of that I was able to get a deal that allowed me to step down from my 100% job as an accountant. I got into like a dialogue with my sponsor also at that time, We Are Disc Golf. And they said, or I think I was the first one, like, what does it take for me to like reach a certain number to be able to make it on tour, kind of like, yeah, monetary number. And we got into the discussion, and they had seen me perform really, really well in 2022. So they really believed in me, and they still do, obviously, but that was kind of what put me into the position where I could make it on tour in the US and tour also even more in Europe.
So you mentioned your sponsor, We Are Disc Golf. That is a Norwegian disc golf store, if I recall, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And you are also sponsored by, is it Siggar?
Siggar Bags, yes.
Siggar Bags, yeah, which is a Norwegian bag company. Is that also right?
Yeah, that's true. And they're also designed in Norway.
Oh,
and
cool.
Yeah, and they're also going to distribute also the new version of them will come to US. I'm not sure about Canada. Let's hope it will be Canada too, but
of course, let's hope.
Yeah.
So, and you play with an open bag. How do you like playing an open bag? Are you looking for a manufacturer sponsor? Or do you like sort of the freedom of being independent and being able to pick from the best of everyone?
I mean, that was kind of what I was going with when I started the sport.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just been really convenient to just pick whatever I want for a very long time. I guess you can be the first to hear this because I just signed something.
Exclusive, Miss Mando exclusive. Let's go.
So I hope it's okay because I just signed a contract. But yeah, so I will still have sort of an open bag, but I will now also actually have, I'll be on the mold team for Rico X.
Very cool.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's
and you're
awesome.
the first one to hear it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Tweeting about it right now.
Tell us about that. How did that come about?
Yeah. So the thing with that is that I don't have like a closed bag. I will be representing only the Rico X. So
Okay.
I got to choose kind of what disc I would like to represent. So I will not be like, I won't be going like full Castoplast, but I will like have the logo with Rico X on me instead.
The Rico X is a fantastic disc.
I totally agree. I've been throwing it this off season now, and yeah, it feel like a spot in my bag that I hadn't really been able to fill.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, this is a great opportunity for me that I could actually have a contract with them as well as I find it to fit well in my bag.
What plastic are you liking for the Rico? Do you like the K1?
Yes, I do that, and I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to say yet, but yes, I do like that plastic.
The glow is nasty too.
Yeah.
It like I had the same experience where it just filled a slot in my bag that I couldn't find anything that stuck. I just wanted like a torque resistant, like slightly stable throwing putter, which that is at my arm speed. And like I was burning over praxises, and I didn't want to throw like the overstable, like traditional, like, I don't know, like something between that and, I don't know, like a yarn or like what's that one that Innova has that everybody talks about? My brain is totally spacing right now. Anyway, everybody's got an overstable approach disc and like a straight putter. I needed something in the middle, and this was totally that for me.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Well, we're very excited, and first time ever we're breaking some news on Miss Mando, so very exciting. Sort of kicking back to your disc golf journey for a minute. After 2 events in the US back in 2022, you had your first official tour in 2023 with 7 tournaments in the US to start the season, a middle stretch in Europe, and then 3 tournaments back on the stateside to end the year. Curious what differences you noticed between playing in Europe versus playing in the US. Were there any big culture shocks when you played your first big American tournaments?
I wouldn't say any big culture shocks, but it's definitely a difference between the courses in Europe compared to the US. Usually it's way more wooded when we go to Europe, and the US has for a long time been like known for their like max distance shots that you need to have, like bomber courses, all that. We haven't really had much of that in Europe. So when I got to some of the courses, just to mention like, well, I played Portland last year and I was amazed, but it was also insane, like how long the course was. But yeah, so that's probably what I would say is the biggest difference between the two of them.
So last season, you committed even more to the tour with 2/3 of your events in the US, only going back to Europe for DGPT events and majors. Did you find it easier to be on the road for so much time after having a taste of it in 2023? And for 2025, is the plan to play a similar number of Pro Tour events as last year?
To answer your first question, no, your last question first, the plan is to do kind of the similar. Like I'll have 3 trips to the US and have the summer season in Europe. So it will be kind of the same as last year. But when I first got on tour in 2023, I was not really prepared. I mean, I was coming out from a great season in Europe, but I was still not full tour player, which meant that when I got on tour in 2023, I was kind of surprised how much more exhausting it was than what I first thought. So that was one thing. And just to be part of what I call like the disc golf circus, you have to like, we always get emails that we have to kind of read and to figure out like, how does everything work? So it was way easier for me. Well, 2023 was just a big learning experience, really. And I was super exhausted when I got into the off season. But after a break, I was like, okay, now I know what this is and I'm ready to take on a new year when I know all of this stuff. And I was way more relaxed, and I think that also showed in my game in 2024.
Learning how to tour is something that we've talked with some of our other Pro Tour guests about. What were some of the things that had a bit of a learning curve on that first big year out on tour?
I would say how to be able to get your mind to change to the next tournament way faster. That's one thing, because you're always just like jumping to the next tournament. And sometimes your brain is just stuck in the last tournament you kind of had. And that doesn't do you any good for the next one. Unless you have really positive thoughts, of course. But also being able to adjust faster to what course, like to learning the courses faster, kind of, if that makes sense. And not being, well, I usually take notes on every hole, like I should throw this here and there. And that has really helped me to prepare better. But also finding a way to just learning about how my body reacts to a certain load of both hitting the gym, but also practicing every single day almost. Just finding the right balance there was hard to begin with, that I think I've figured more out of now.
Yeah, I can imagine that the mental game and keeping your physicality up while on tour, and you're out of your home environment. It's yeah. Did you like the plan?
These are things that Sean just imagines. He doesn't actually.
I don't do any of it. No,
Yeah.
I have no mental game. I do not go to the gym at all.
And also another thing.
Yes.
Just going to the store in the US was an experience compared to just going to the store at home. So I now know more of what I should pick at the store. I know what things are now.
There's a lot to choose from in the States.
Yes.
Far too much to choose from. And so in the intro, we mentioned that you, of course, won the Texas States Championship, where you shot, I think, 2 of the highest rated rounds of your career and had an impressive tournament average of 1,006. Before your win in Elite and Majors, you had an average finish of about 18th, but since your win, you've had an average finish of 8th in those events. Did you change anything that led to this increased level of play? Or do you think sort of those tools were always there and now everything is sort of starting to click more? Was it like now that you've got the one under your belt, the first win jitters is done and now you're really buckling down?
I think that I always had the capacity, and like in my skill level has always been there. But after that first win, when I was able to put everything together, I mean, I usually don't think a lot of negative thoughts about myself or my game. But after that win, both my motivation and just the belief in myself of what I can do, I think that was the biggest change. 'Cause I thought to myself that, of course, I'm able to compete at a high level and perform, but after the win, I know that I have the skill set to actually win tournaments also. I know that I can do that. And I think that's kind of what spiked the rest of my season to be able to perform at a higher level because I believed even more in myself.
Yeah, when I took down my first MA3 win, I felt the same way. You and me, we are the same. It just, everything was clicking. I've never looked back. My 25-person hungover tournament win earlier this spring. No. Back to the Pro Tour. We've talked a little bit about your past few years, but looking ahead, I don't know if it's the European summer DGPT events, including the 2 majors, maybe snagging another ace in Portland. Is there a tour stop or 2 that you're most looking forward to when we get back online for this year?
Tour-wise, I would say to have the Worlds in Finland. That's just, it's gonna be so good. I don't know what they're planning, but I just know it's gonna be good because they just know what they're doing up there, right? And I also have to say that it's not like part of the tour, but I will be going to China for the World Games, representing Norway. And I've never been there at all. I don't even know what to expect, but I think that's also gonna be a different experience with disc golf. So yeah, I think that's the 2 main, and of course also having the European Championship. I cannot forget that in Norway. That's also going to be really, really cool.
Speaking of worlds, do you have a preference on which course do you like better between the 2, the Beast or the Monster?
The Beast, definitely. I feel that it's a bit more lefty friendly.
Yeah.
And also, I just couldn't really figure out. I probably just have to reset my mind going into the other course at Tampere when I'm heading into Worlds. And I just knew that I really had to work on my sidearm to be able to attack it better for this year. And I hope I well, I see now when I come on tour here in Florida that I have improved it, so I just hope it's going to be enough to attack the course better.
As a fellow dirty cheating lefty, how do you find being a left-handed thrower on tour? Do you find that the courses are fairly balanced, sort of left-right? Obviously, you don't know how it compares to playing with your right hand because you don't. But do you find the courses are well set up for lefties, or there's still this anti-lefty bias by these course designers that we need to get rid of?
I would definitely say that it has improved a lot throughout the years since I started playing. And also, I think they're doing a really good job finding courses and designing the courses on tour that it's more even. Definitely. Here in Florida, I do a lot of sidearms. So that's when I really figure that, okay, I do have a sidearm now, and I definitely have to use it. So I think that's one of the first courses where I've been like, this is not lefty friendly. But I mean, I should be able to do both backhand and sidearms, so I can't really complain. Because overall, I would say they're really even in the total aspect of the Pro Tour.
Right. So speaking of Florida, you're of course down in Florida right now. This weekend is the start of the Pro Tour season with the Supreme Flight Open at Olympus. Is this your first time playing of the course? What's your overall thoughts about it, other than it being very forehand dominant for you?
Yeah, it is the first time I'm playing here. I just started right in Texas last year, and I would say it is a challenging course, and you have the elevation. I was really not prepared for that, because when you see it on YouTube, you can't get the feel of how much elevation we're actually talking. And I've been playing Krokol in Norway, which we think is quite a bit of elevation, but this is next level. And I was like amazed. And that is also an aspect of the game that you should be able to handle. So I think that's great that we have a variation of the courses like that.
I dig it. So let's talk All-Star Doubles. We have the All-Star Doubles event coming up, and you are playing with Nicholas Antala, which I believe is the only all-European team in the event, which is super cool. What are your thoughts on having an All-Star event right before the first event of the season versus the end-of-year format that DGPT is changing to?
Honestly, I can't really remember how the All-Stars have been played earlier. I've never been to an All-Star event or anything. To be fair, I'm going into the tournament tomorrow. I only know that we're playing doubles, and I will read the emails again tonight just to actually figure out what I'm supposed to do. Yeah, but I don't think I have any opinion about the All-Stars and how that's going down, actually.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, we hosted our own little mini tournament last weekend, and Sean sent out an email the night before. We were planning on doing a putter only event, and he sent out an email that, as I often do with Sean, I ignored and didn't read. So I was the only one that showed up with only putters because I took everything else out of my bag to make it lighter. Meanwhile, Sean had emailed the entire tournament going, "Hey guys, don't worry about it. We're going full bags." So, speaking from somebody who is bitten in the butt by not reading your emails, I am all for you checking that one more time. That's probably
I will. I definitely will do that.
And just so you know, so you're I'll pretend I'm your email. So you're playing 18 holes. The first 9 will be best shot doubles, and the back 9 will be alternating shot.
Oh, so that's the back 9 that will be that. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Should be fun. And I played a tournament at Olympus in December, and yeah, it is a hell of a course.
Mm-hmm.
The elevation there is throwing up and down cliffs. It's like nothing else, certainly in Florida, and it's like nothing else on tour, really. It's very cool.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. I played Deglo last year, and that was also a lot of elevation, but I still don't think it can compare to this course.
After Deglow last year, you were over at Smugs, and you were on an episode of Joe Mez's The Putting Game, with fellow Canadian and friend of the show, Sophia Dunica. Fun, super fun episode. I love that show. How was it like? How was it filming The Putting Game?
Oh, I think that's the funniest thing I've ever done so far in my disc golf career. I was just laughing so much. And sometimes you just feel stupid. Just trying to do weird things with the disc. But it felt like you were just 5 years again, just having fun. And yeah, it was a long time since I've had that much fun. In general.
I will say that I think the putting game was more biased against lefties than some Pro Tour courses are. You had to work around some obstacles a little differently than your competitors did, for sure.
Definitely.
You need to have have a little chat with Big Germ and the guys to make sure that next time you're on, it's a little more balanced of a course.
I will send an email to him. We can do that.
Maybe he'll read it. I don't know.
I think so. I think you have lots of clout, Sean. I have faith. So you were also, Anniken, on Team Norway for the WIFDIF Team Championships in Australia, where your team finished fourth behind Canada. Just curious how you found that experience. Tell us about what WIFDIF was like in the land down under.
Yeah, that was the first time Norway ever competed in a Team Worlds. And I mean, disc golf is usually an individual sport, so it was definitely different being a team and playing the different, like, either teamed up or playing singles, but you're still a team. And I think actually that way of playing, the way we did over there, I don't know what format it's called. Also, yeah, the match play, that was so fun. I think that will be really cool to see more, probably, to broadcast it, because it's, in my opinion, it's more interesting to watch also.
Yeah, I really
don't know about what you think about that, but
love watching match play.
Yeah. And also just to see the disc golf scene in Australia. I'd never been to Australia before that. That was really cool. And it's just a different, well, I'm saying different all the time, but it was a really different experience also because you have the nations representing. We're used to that in Europe from, the European Championship, but seeing all the teams, the Canada team, you feel more connected somehow. And
I love that.
Yeah.
You also, speaking of going places, you mentioned that you're going to be going to China for Team Norway for the World Games. Wow, like how cool is that? And do you know who the MPO teammate is for it? Because I think it's only like one pair per country. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. So it's going to be me representing the FPO and Øyvind Jones, who is going to represent the MPO. And we'll have, I think, 2 backups, like 1 MPO backup and 1 FPO backup, just in case something happens.
I have to imagine you're pretty excited about that.
I am. When I first heard about it after the Team Worlds, it was like, first of all, we had to kind of qualify. We had a really bad seeding. Is that what you call it? Coming into the Team Worlds. But since we performed really well as a team, we were able to get a spot for the World Games, which is really cool. But at that time, I've never been to China. I wasn't really sure for a long time if I would say yes, if it was worth it, because we will have to go right after Worlds, kind of straight from Worlds, and then just head over to China and get ready, play, and then will be back again for the rest of the season, like the ending of the season. But as Avin said to me, like, he plays disc golf, first of all, because he thinks it's fun, but also you get to see so many new places that you would probably never see in another way, rather than like going there and compete. And that changed my mind to like, yeah, he's right. I would probably never go to China for another setting, probably. So I was like, okay, let's do it. Yeah.
Speaking of traveling places, the tour down under has become quite I'll say sensation over the last 2 years. I know it got a lot of buzz this year, and for me, it definitely was a nice little bit of disc golf coverage in the cold winter up in Canada. Is that something that you might be interested in at some point? Is going down to New Zealand and participating in that event before the season gets started and experiencing what, I mean, at least for me, is probably number one on my bucket list. So I definitely want to go to New Zealand.
Yeah, when I was so jealous of all the people over there, it looked so beautiful and they were just having a blast. If it was, I don't know how to say it, but there are certain rules for how long you can be outside of Norway to still be able to have all the health benefits, blah, 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 blah. So I would really have to look deeper into that whether or not I'm able to actually be away outside of Norway for that long. Because I would definitely do it if there was like no problem about going and being away from Norway like almost the whole year, you know? But I know there are certain rules, so that's kind of what has not really made me think of it.
Right. That totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. So we are a Canadian podcast. So we got to ask, have you ever played disc golf in Canada? And I also have to give a shameless plug for the Canadian Championships, which is perfectly situated on the schedule between D-Glow and GMC and is on the driving route in between those two tournaments. And, you know, we would absolutely love to see Anniken Steen out at the Canadian Championships. So if that's a possibility at all, I got to throw that out there as well. But yes, have you played in Canada before?
First of all, that would be really cool if I was able to go to Canada for that tournament. Definitely.
Definitely talk to Sophia about that, or to Chantal.
Yeah. Okay. I would say yes, I have played in Canada. It was not a sanctioned event, but it was before I got a PDGA number. So I did say that it was in 2017 I started to actually practice. Well, that was also the year I took like one semester abroad as an exchange student in Canada. So I went to college there.
Where did you land?
I went to North Island College in Vancouver Island.
Nice.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so we had a backyard there where I was also like a store where they were selling discs. And I bought some of them. I was practicing in the backyard and also figured that they were gonna host, I think it was kind of a fundraiser for a guy with cancer. And I participated in that event, actually. So, yes, I have played disc golf in Canada.
Sorry, quickly, I think there are a few different campuses for North Island College. Which city were you in Campbell, or in BC?
That was in, is it called Comox Valley?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious because the first round of disc golf I ever played was at Cooper's Hawk, which is the course in Campbell River, BC. And Campbell River also has, I believe, a North Island College. So
yeah, that is true. That's true. Yeah.
Near and dear to my heart. Oh, okay. Very cool.
So I think I'm actually still part of the Facebook group, like Comox Valley Disc Golf Club or something.
That's awesome.
So shout out to them.
You might be the only Norwegian in there. I would assume you are. I
probably am the only one. I will check after this podcast.
Yeah.
Well, if anyone there remembers me playing that event, I remember I still have a disc from one guy who was selling disc at that event, like the fundraiser event, which says like, I think it says like Cumberland Disc Golf or something. It was the best OS and good disc.
It's a lot of different cities that start with C on Vancouver Island. That sounds right. So, Anniken, we've taken up enough of your time. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we let you go, we just want to hit you with a few quick, what we call lightning round questions. We ask all of our new guests. So we've got about 5 or 6 of them here. If you're good with it, we'll just fire off a question, looking for just a quick answer. First thing that pops into your head. Is that cool with you?
I'm ready. I'm scared, but I'm ready.
Awesome. Okay, not hard-hitting questions, don't worry. First question is, what is your favorite course?
Oh, Øverås, PCS in Norway.
Solid choice. What is the hardest course that you've played?
Oh, I think it has to be this one. The Florida.
Olympus?
Yeah.
It is tough.
One sport to play or watch other than disc golf. What are you choosing?
Figure skating.
Nice. I dig it. And what is your favorite place to stop for food on a road trip?
Here in the US, Chipotle.
When you are on a road trip, going between tour stops, what song, when it comes on the radio or on the iPod, do you instantly belt out the lyrics and just shout and scream and sing along to?
Probably the song "Low" by Flo Rida.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Classic.
good memories.
Absolute classic. What movie never gets old no matter how many times you watch it?
Oh, that's probably The Notebook.
Oh, nice.
And it's super classic, yeah. And if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
I would like to be invisible.
Would be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
You do kind of, not to be a Marvel nerd about it, but you do kind of have a similar look to the Invisible Woman from Fantastic Four, so.
Oh, really? I've never seen those movies.
Well, there's a new one coming out next year, so there you go. Or this year? I don't know, I forgot.
Yeah, this year. Get your facts straight, Galen. Jeez.
Jeez. Most of them are not very good, so don't worry about it. Before we let you go, we want to give the floor to you for any shout outs, any sponsors, anything you want to say or shout out. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay. Well, of course, my sponsors, We Are Disc Golf, Seeger Bags. Check out the new bags they've got. And also now Rico X. Thank you for signing me to the mold team. That is awesome. And it will be really cool. And also, shout out to you guys for doing podcasts. We need that in our lives.
Well, thank you. We're just trying to do our part over here. You know, it's no superhero thing we're doing, but we try. Although I think Sean likes to think that he's a superhero sometimes, but that's a whole conversation for another time. Well, Anniken, thank you so much once again for joining us, and best of luck with the 2025 season and this weekend going into the Supreme Flight Open in Florida. I know I will be watching from home, and we'll certainly be cheering you on. So best of luck in 2025.
Thank you so much, guys.
We'll be right back on Missed Mando. But we are going to move on. We're going to go a little out of order from what's on our docs here. Just a little heads up to my coworkers. We'll actually jump into our 2025 season predictions first, and then we're going to do our 2025 fantasy draft, repeating on what we did last year. But starting with the 2025 season predictions, we're going to go through this. We'll try and be as quick as we can here. We're going to pick the MPO and FPO player of the year, as well as our predictions for winners at all of the majors. USW DGC, and USDGC included. So 4 for each. We won't do Throw Pink because it's not technically a major, although everybody knows it should be a major. But we will do actual majors for this one. So, Shawnee G, on the first one, MPO Player of the Year. Who are you taking as your prediction for MPO Player of the Year?
I'm going to go Ricky Wysocki.
Lovely, lovely pick.
Mr.
I will.
Consistency.
Yeah, that is a great pick. I'll go a little out of order here from the doc and just say that that's my pick as well. I actually prepared for this and wrote down my picks on a little piece of paper, kind of planned for it a little bit. So my pick is also Ricky Wysocki. I think he is. I mean, like I mentioned, he had an incredible year last year as the second best player in the world. And I have no reason to see him slowing down at all. And if Ganon just slows up just a little bit to let Ricky squeeze in there, I think he's going to have a great year. So I'm going with Rick.
Great pick. I'm going to disagree with both of you guys, though, and stick with the hot hand from last year, and I'll take Ganon. I know it's a boring pick, and I'm guessing that might have informed a little bit of the reason why you guys didn't take him. But, I mean, for me, if I'm just trying to think of the objectively best position player for this award, he's still so young. It's insane to say. You have to imagine comparing him to similar players and their trajectories as they've come of age, that he's going to be getting better, which seems just unfathomable. Mm-hmm. But he is still young enough. He's still, I would imagine, adding muscle, refining his form, gaining reps out on the course to the point that I would expect somehow for him to be a little bit better than last year. His ceiling is so high, I can't even see it from down here. So I can't talk myself into picking anybody else. I gotta go Ganon.
Yeah, hard to argue with that after the season that Ganon had in 2024. So that is a great pick there. And actually, Galen, why don't you go back to back and tell us your FBO Player of the Year?
Oh, man. This is something that was a little bit harder for me. Like we were talking about last year, Kristen Lett, I think, was still, but for me, I don't think there was much of a conversation about who the best player of the year was, but there was a conversation, and I'm not used to having a conversation about if Kristen is the best player or not. There was about a year and a half there where it was just, she was the conversation and nobody else was close. So I found myself sort of bouncing around a little bit here. I'm going to stick boring though, just because I've seen enough of a body of work from both of these two players that I have to go. If I'm, taking a pick objectively February 24th, how the season's going to go, I got to take Kristen. But I had to think about it for the first time in a while when somebody asked me that question, sort of heading into a season, who's it going to be? So I don't know what that says. I think it says something, but I am going to says that she is my pick.
Great pick. Hard to argue there. Shawnee G, what about you?
How do you not pick Kristen to be Player of the Year? She didn't get it last year because she was injured. She's no longer injured. And you have to assume that she's going to come back with a vengeance and just start smoking the Pro Tour points standing. But I, just to add a little bit of variety here, I'm going to go back-to-back points champion Missy Gannon. Not really. I mean, there's not a particularly great reason for it. Kristen will probably take it. But in the interest of mixing things up, I'll take big money Missy. She does well at the courses that are on tour. So what are you going to do? I think she could do it again. There's no reason why she can't do it again.
Yeah, if there were betting odds on this, I think Kristen would be the, probably the maybe overwhelming favorite. I was debating on whether overwhelming would be the right word to use, but Missy Gannon would most likely be the number 2 pick in that. So hard to argue with that. For sure. I am going to stick with some chalk though, and I am going with Kristen Tatar, or Kristen Latt. I'm going to miss saying Tatar. But yes, I mean, it just for everything that Galen pointed out about Kristen, definitely have to go down that road, especially with her not winning the award last year in controversial fashion. I think a lot of people thought that Kristen deserved the award. Missy ended up getting it. I think Kristen's going to be back for vengeance on that front. And she is going to take it down. Now, moving on to our majors picks, just for our listeners, we discussed this already. Once you choose a player for one of these majors, you can't use them again for another major. So, with 4 majors in each division, we're going to have 4 different FPO players, 4 different MPO players here. And we are going to start at the first major of the year, Champions Cup. And I'll go first this time. And my Champions Cup winners, I've got. And now also, this is a note. Champions Cup this year is being held in place of the OTB Open out in Stockton, California. So much different course than what we are used to for Champions Cup. And my picks are a first time major winner. Actually, maybe on both of these now that I'm thinking about it. But on the MPO side, I am going with defending OTB Open champion Calvin Heimberg. He plays great at this course. Lots of long, low ceiling roller type shots. Calvin is an animal out there, so I 100% think he can take it down. And on the FPO side, I am going with my gal, Holland Handley, to take down, I believe, her first major. She's won Throw Pink. I don't think she's won a actual PDGA major. So I'm going for the double first time major at Champions Cup with Calvin and Holland Hanley. Galen, over to you. Who are your picks for Champions Cup?
So something that you may have seen me holding up my finger a second ago, but I want to let you go, that I'm curious about, because I think the way that we were doing it last year was for individual tournament picks. We weren't repeating picks between the 3 of us, but this is sort of a different format. So if I wanted to, could I pick the same players as one of you two for these? I just can't use them twice for myself.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, we could all have the 3 same picks across a tournament. But you just can't reuse them yourself. The draft that we get to after this, of course, will be different, where once a player's taken, then it's on that person's team for good.
Yeah. Okay, I'm with you. Then I'm going to join you in taking Calvin Heimberg on MPO. Put on a clinic last year, Mr. Consistency. I think this course sets up well for his game, and I like him to. I guess it's not technically a repeat, but to take down a large scale event at the same course as he took one down last year. And over in FPO, I'm going to pivot a little bit from you. I'm going to take the gal who was in second place last year and take Cat Merch as my FPO pick. Shoni G, how about you?
I just wanted to highlight last year, the top 5 was Calvin Heimberg. And then I would be shocked if Galen could guess the rest of the top 5. Without looking.
I'm going to spoil it for you. I already looked, and I was like, wow, this is just surprising names. I was going back and forth between Calvin and 6th place Ricky Wysocki for my pick, because we had some really good players, but not players I'm used to seeing. Like
Gavin Rathbun, Randon Latta, Gavin Babcock, and Sullivan Tipton. All excellent players, but not names you normally see populating the top 5.
And if I'm not mistaken, if you go back one year, the winner was Emerson Keith.
That's right. It was
another shocker on that course.
This course maybe just generates some wild results. But I'm going to go with notable 13th place finisher from last year, Gannon Burr. I don't want to let him slide past. I think he can take this major down.
Yeah, I think Gannon can take down reasonably any major. Just with our with the way that we're doing it, where you can only pick somebody once, I think there is a major where he is more of a lock, in my opinion, for the win. But we move on now to USWDGC. Last year, this was won, of course, by Missy Gannon down in Texas. This year, it is going to be played at Silver Creek Disc Golf Course in Manitowoc.
I didn't tell you my FPO pick, did I?
Oh, no, you didn't, did you?
No.
I'm allowed
No, you
two
did not.
picks. Am I not? Am I not?
Yes, you are. Yes.
just go check
I
the,
jumped the gun a little bit there.
Let me check with our producer. Oh, wait, we do not have a producer. So,
Technically,
yes,
you
I
are.
actually, that's also true. Yeah. Which is why the quality of the show is so poor. My FPO pick, she does really well here. She's on Team OTB, and I think she wants some revenge. I think she wants another major. I want it for her. Paige Pierce.
Yeah, I was really thinking about taking Paige
Yep.
at this one. She plays great here.
Yep. She was last year. She was still coming off injuries. Placed fifth. Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely think that she's got another OTB win in her calendar, and I think it's going to be this year. So put me down for Paige Pierce.
Fantastic pick there. And now we can move on to USWDGC once I let Sean actually make all of his correct picks, or not correct picks because they're going to be wrong. My picks are going to be right. But anyways, on to USWDGC. As I mentioned, this was in Texas last year. This year, it is going to be played at Silver Creek Disc Golf Course in Manitowoc, Wisconsin. Is that WI? Yep, Wisconsin. I'm just reading verbatim off of the website for this on DGPT. It is a highly regarded and challenging course set in a scenic park with a mix of open and wooded holes, known for its tight fairways, elevation changes, and strategic water hazards. It offers a variety of challenges for players of all skill levels. So, with that info in mind, I have zero information on this course other than that brief little description. So with that in mind, we'll actually go back to you, Shawnee G, and let's hear your USWDGC pick.
Last year, Missy Gannon took it down in Texas at Sprinkle Valley. It was Missy, Evelina, Val Mandahano, Owen Scoggins, and Heidi Line. Was your top five. I know nothing about this course. I have no idea who it's going to suit well. And why not? Let's just go Missy Gannon back-to-back USWDGC.
Hard to argue with that. When you don't really know much about the course, trying to pick a player that is very well-rounded and good at a lot of things, I think is a great choice. So big money Missy for Shawnee G. Galen, what about you?
Yeah, I also know nothing at all about this course. But the way you were describing it sounds an awful lot like a course that our gal Owen Scoggins would tear up. So I'm going to use my one and only singular time that I can choose Own Dog on USWDGC.
Never doubt the dog. Yes, fantastic pick. I love that. I don't know. Let's see if I can just quickly. Does it give me a total distance on this course? It doesn't look like it, unless I was to pull up the caddy book, which I'm not sure if that's even out yet. So, not sure the length of the course, but definitely a great choice there for Own Scoggins. And I am going with my pick for USWDGC. When you want to pick somebody that is good at basically everything, I don't know if there's a player better than this. The number one player in the world, Kristen Lutt. That's going to be my pick, which won't be able to use her for any of the majors now that we're going to be picking for the rest of the way. But I think there are some others that could pop up at them. So I'm going to use Kristen here for USWDGC. And that brings us over to the European Disc Golf Festival, which is taking place of the European Open, as the European Open takes on Worlds this year. So everything in Europe is all sort of mixed matched. But for the European Disc Golf Festival, I am going to go with, on the MPO side, he played absolutely out of his mind here last year, and I have no reason to believe that that he won't do it again. And he is going to finally break his major drought streak. And I am going with Ricky Wysocki. He won this last year by a decent margin, I believe. I think I can pull it up here real quick. Yeah, he won. Am I on the right one? Oh, I am. Okay, so he didn't win it by a decent margin. He only won it by one stroke over Paul Macbeth, as Paul had the final round hot round with a -12, beat Ricky by 5 strokes in the final round. So Rick had a pretty big lead going into the round, and I don't think there's any reason why he can't do it again. And last year at this event, it went into a playoff in the FPO division. I am going with the playoff loser from last year to get redemption this year, and I am taking Evelina Salonen. Her and Missy went into a playoff for this event last year, and I think Evelina can do it and take it down and win another major after the 2 she won this year. Shawnee G, what about you? Let's go to you next.
Good question. Last year, the top 4 was on the MPO side was Ricky, Paul Macbeth, who just came out scorching last year, Una Heinonen, Kyle Klein, a name that we don't hear that often these days, but he had a sneaky great season. And then some Euros whose names, one of them I don't know, and then Vino, Makala, Goose tied for 5th as well. Goose, I think, is a sleepy. He's his putt down on the Down Under tour. He seems to have fixed his putt, and Goose with a good putt, that is potentially very scary for the other players.
He's rocking like a new spin putt type thing.
Yeah,
it looks awesome.
Yeah, it's looking good. He's not going to be my pick for Euros. But I think he will probably join in my picks for some point, for some events during the year. But I'm going to go, you know what? I'll take Kyle Klein. Why not? 4th place last year. Who knows? I haven't seen a single video what this kid is doing. He and Cynthia Ricciotti have apparently broken up. So, who knows? Maybe there's some spring in his step. Single man on the prowl in Europe. Who friggin' knows? Let's go, Kyle Klein. Lock it in my pick.
And who are you taking on the FPO side?
On the FPO side, thank you for reminding me because I didn't remember. Let's see here. Who can I not pick? I can't pick Paige, so that's pretty solid, and I can't pick Missy. That is less solid.
No, you can pick you can pick Missy because she was only your player of the year.
No, I have.
We're only gonna do.
I have her as
USWDGC.
Yeah.
I just wrote it in
right.
big writing.
Yeah. I didn't see Missy down. It's because Galen wrote it as just big $.
Yeah. Give me 2nd place finisher last year, Evelina Salonen. Yeah, I'll take Evelina.
Yep, and I'm going to complete the hat trick. I'm going to actually have identical picks to Robbie, and I'm going to take Ricky and Evelina. I feel like it's a great. I'm trying to be strategic on when I'm picking some of these fantastic players, and the European Disc Golf Festival in Tallinn feels like a good time for those two. So lock it in.
Great picks there. I obviously cannot argue with them at all because they're the same as mine. So we'll be arguing against myself, which, I mean, I do kind of do that in my life. But anyways, we will move on from that and move on to the World Championship, which this year is being held, of course, in Nokia, Finland, at the Beast. Is it just the Beast, or is it also the Beast and the Monster? Yes, two of them, the Beast and the Monster.
Yeah, and Tampere.
Yeah, Tampere.
Yep.
So, with that being said, actually, no, I think I went first last time. So let's go, Galen. Let's go back to you.
All right. Again, trying to be strategic and trying to be, yeah, I don't know why I was going to say another word. I'm just trying to be strategic in how and where I use my players. And I really like Worlds being in Europe for last year's champs. I'm going to use Kristen here. I'm going to use Gannon here. Lock them in. They took it down last year at the European Open. I have to use Kristen somewhere. She is a 2-time world champion. She is also last year's European Open champion. And Gannon Burr has never shied away from a tournament and took down the win at the European Open last year. So I'm going to lock in Gannon and Kristen.
Fantastic picks there. Hard to argue with at all. Shawnee G, what about you?
I'll go. Let me see here. Who haven't I picked yet? You know what? I don't got a Ricky. Gimme Ricky. He's breaking his world's drought. Was it 2017 was his last one? Hell no, it's 2025 is his next one. So drop me in for Ricky Y. Asaki. And you know what? I ain't picked a Kristen yet. So let's go Ricky and Kristen for me.
Fantastic picks on both sides. I will complete the trifecta of, or no, sorry, you picked Ricky. I am going to copy Galen's MPO pick. I am also going with Gannon, although I definitely think Ricky could have a big tournament here as well. Looking at last year's European Open results, he finished second place, only 2 strokes behind Gannon Burr for first. But Gannon has just looked so good on this combination of courses that it is hard for me to go against him. And I haven't picked him yet, so definitely going to do it there. Now, on the FBO side, this one makes me smile a little bit. I like this pick. She was a big part of my my tournament picks last year. She got me a lot of wins during the European swing and during last year's European Open, which were played on the courses that are going to be for Worlds this year. She finished second place, only 1 stroke behind Kristen Tatar after having a final round collapse. Well, not really total collapse. She shot even par. Kristen shot 5 under to come from behind and beat her by 1 stroke. I am going with Silva Saarinen to take down the world title and go back-to-back for Finnish FPO players.
That is a bold prediction, but she is fresh off that 4-year contract. I think she's going to be looking to make a very quiet name for herself. And why not? Why not in Europe on the home turf? I think it'd be a very, very cool thing to see.
Why not indeed? Yeah, I mean, she finished second place here last year. She plays great in Europe all the time when she's over there. So that is my plan. Gannon Burr, Silva Saarinen. Now for USDGC, the final major of the year. This one took a little bit of thinking with not being able to reuse some picks. Obviously, Gannon being a already 2-time champion here would be a great pick. But I am going to go with a first-time major winner and someone that has been, promised as the next one for a long time, even before Gannon Burr was around. He had a great year last year, finally got some wins. Now he's going to finally take down a major. A pro major, I should say, because he's a multi-time AM major winner. I'm going with AB, Anthony Barella. Yeah, I don't.
sure,
I guess
why
no
not?
thoughts from you guys on
No.
I.
It's Anthony Barella. I mean, how do you argue with that?
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
That's gonna be my pick. I think I think he can do it this year.
Sure.
Galen, let's go to you next.
I am going to go, and I'm sort of having to figure out, like you are, who the heck I'm going to pick, because I can't pick Calvin, I can't pick Gannon, I can't pick Ricky. I think I'm going to lock in a guy who has been all over it. I had my tabs on Google Chrome here, working overtime while you were talking, looking at the last 3 years. Last year, finishing in 5th place at neg 28. 2 years ago, finishing in 3rd at neg 27, and 3 years ago, finishing 6th at neg 23. Very consistent at the USDGC. I'm going to go with Isaac Robinson.
That's cool. I like it.
I knew that's where you were going based on that stat. Every year, Isaac Robinson has gotten better and better at USDGC. It's due for a win.
Maybe this is the time he wins anything other than Worlds.
Yep.
That would be...
Hey, he technically did win Idlewild one year.
That's true. That is true. He did win Idlewild. That would be very big for him.
That barely counts.
Would love to see it. Okay, so I can't pick Gannon Burke. I can't pick Kyle Klein, and I can't pick Ricky Wysocki. But I can pick the 2nd place winner last year. Again, due for a major. Gimme Calvin Heimberg.
Nice.
Yep. I want it for him. He needs a major to really secure himself. He
really does.
Yep.
That is the one big thing missing from
Yep.
Calvin's resume is that major. So that is a fantastic pick. And that is going to close out all of our picks. So I'm not going to go through them all and recap them, but everyone gets the gist there. We will keep track of this, or I guess look back at this at the end of the year and see who got the most predictions right. But for something, yep.
Bonus. Who is winning the Tour Championship?
Ooh, Ricky.
Okay, so you're down for Ricky for Tour Champion?
Ricky always plays well at the Tour, although it's at a different course this year now, isn't it?
It's at New London.
Right. Yes, the last 2 years it was at it was in Hornet's Nest? Is that what it was? It was in somewhere in North Carolina.
Rock Hill? I don't know.
No, it was Rock Hill's USDGC.
No, that's Winthrop, isn't it? Or is that the same thing? I don't remember.
Yeah, Rock Hill, South Carolina is where
Gotcha.
is where Winthrop is. But I think it was Hornet's Nest or something in Charlotte. It was there for the last 2 years. And now it is moving. So maybe that makes me change my pick a little bit, but I'm going to stick with it. Ricky Wysocki. He's a multi-time Pro Tour champ.
So you're thinking you've got Ricky. Galen, who do you got to win the Tour Championship?
Oh, I guess I need an FBO Tour champion as well.
Sorry.
And I guess are we going against our rules of not being able to pick the ones that we already did for the majors?
Yeah.
All right. In which case, I will use my Champions Cup FPO champion. I'm going to go with Holland Hanley.
So, a couple of weeks ago, I went to the like a farmers market style event. I mean, it's winter, so like a farmers market, but whereas like local artisanal crafts and a lot of the stuff that you'll see, except for the fresh produce. And I bought a couple of bottles of hot sauce from this local shop, Tijuana Tom's, and one of them was just called Canadiana, and just like a standard, kind of sweet, clean hot sauce. The other one was called Fet Mac Mac, and it was a Thai curry themed hot sauce. And I thought that sounds cool. I like the idea of the flavors there. And I got home and I made, I think, some scrambled eggs, or it might have been like a taco or something, and just threw some hot sauce on it, the Thai curry themed one, and took a bite and began to sweat from parts of my body that I didn't know could create beads of sweat, because I found out that it had Carolina Reapers, Armageddon peppers, which I'd never even heard of before, and there was a third one, and that, you know, the heat rating that they offered was a 10 out of 10. And I don't know what the Scoville units would be on this hot sauce. I'm thinking it could easily crack the top 3 hottest sauces on Hot Ones. So that doesn't even begin to approach the level of heat of this hot take I'm about to drop on you for my pick for this event. I am going to say Paul Macbeth is taking it down this year.
Oh, scorching. I was going to say.
And less hot Holland Hanley. I mean, she might be better looking than Paul is. It's up to, you guys can decide. But it is a less hot take to pick Holland Hanley.
That is a bold prediction, my friend. And that's what we do here on Missed Mando. I, on the other hand, am not going to make a bold prediction. I'm going to take Gannon Burr and Kristen. The most basic picks. I think they're going to absolutely scorch it again this year and take down the Tour Championship. Why not?
No, hard to argue with that. Galen's long story there was like somebody telling you that they've got something to show you and then taking you on a 4-mile hike just to show you a turd.
I'm just surprised it didn't have 10 minutes of hockey references to get there. It's like,
if I was going to do that, I would have involved Robbie in the conversation. I would have been in dialogue.
That's fair. Yeah.
You get me going on another sport, I'll get going. As we found out last episode, talking about the Super Bowl to start the episode.
And before we wrap this up, does anybody want defending champion at New London, Isaac Robinson? He absolutely shredded the course.
Bum. No, I wouldn't pick him for anything.
He did play good out there, but I'm liking my picks. I'm pretty solid on my picks.
Cool.
I like them. And so with that is going to wrap up our.
Actually, one quick thing. I think I might have missed that we can potentially recycle picks here. I'm going to stick with my hot take on Paul Macbeth, but if I can pick an FPO person that I've already chosen, I'm going to take Kristen as my pick instead of Holland. I love Holland, but I'm going to just that slight modification because I must have missed it in my trying to find Tijuana Tom's hot sauce on their website so I could tell the story properly and lead you to the turd at the end of the hike that I missed that we could recycle picks. So Kristen on FPO for a Tour champ.
Boom. All right. That is some great picks there. Hard to argue with. And that is going to wrap up our 2025 season predictions. But we are going to move on now to our 2025 Missed Mando Fantasy Draft. We are going to do this very similarly to last year, but slight changes. We are going to be drafting 10 total players. There is going to be 6 total MPO, 4 total FPO, 1 of each of those picks. So 1 of those MPO and 1 of those FPO will be a wild card, meaning they have to be somebody that did not make the Pro Tour Championship last year for the wild card. So those will be the last 2 picks of the draft for each of us. And then it will be 5 regular MPO and 3 regular FPO of anybody, anywhere, whoever you want to take. Scoring this year, we are going to do a little bit differently than last year. Last year, we did Heiser Base, used their app, which was fantastic. We're going to change it up a little bit this year. We're going to keep track of things ourselves and do more points based on finishes. So we're going to do it as 5 points for a win, 3 points for a podium finish, 1 point for finishing in the top 10, 0 points for outside the top 10, but minus 1 point if you finish outside of the top 32 for MPO and the top 20 for FPO. So outside of that, that's the cut line for the Pro Tour Championship at the end of the year. If you finish outside of that in a tournament, that is minus 1 point for you. We decided we were going to do our draft order by a random wheel generator. It looks like Shawnee G, you already did that. So Without further ado, our draft order is going to be Galen, number 1, Robbie, number 2, Sean, number 3. As always, this will be a snake-style draft. So round 2, the order will reverse on even rounds. So without further ado, Galen, let's get into this. Who are you taking with your number 1 overall pick?
Gannon.
Gannon. Nice and quick and easy. And yeah, it's very hard to argue with that pick. And I will make it very quick and easy on the second pick. I'm going to take Kristen Latt.
I'll take for my first pick, let's go Ricky.
Yep.
And for my second pick, let's go. Let me steal her away from Robbie. Let's go Holland Handley. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm so heartbroken right now.
Good, as designed.
I am so heartbroken right now. Okay. With that then, wow. Those would have been both of my, like, of the two players that I would have taken next. Those would have been both of them, Ricky and Holland. Okay, so I am going to I'm going to double down on FPO here at the start, and I am going to go with. Pretty amazing that she's still here. 2 FPO picks off the board, and she wasn't one of them. Doesn't surprise me because I love Holland, but I'm going to go with Big Money Missy. 1 and 2 in the Pro Tour standings last year. Now on my team. Or I think Kristen actually finished 3rd.
Okay, well, I'm going to keep the good times rolling here on FPO and go with the own DOGG. Bow wow.
Woof, woof. The dog. You also get the next pick as well, Galen. So if you want to go back to that.
Oh, I always forget how the snake style drafts work here. And remind me, are we doing the differential number of FPO and MPO players here? Is it 6 and 4?
So it will be 6 and 4 total, but in the first part, because the wild cards will happen at the end.
So sorry,
it'll be
5 and 3. Cool.
Yeah.
So I will continue on the FPO side, I guess, and keep the good times rolling again, and I'll take Evelina off the board as well.
Yeah, great pick there. So it comes back to me then, and now the real question is, do I just go trifecta of FPO right off the bat and really, really lock down how I'm doing on the FPO side? I think I can wait one more. I'm going to wait at least one more to lock down my 3 FPOs. So I'm gonna dip into the MPO pool here. So far, we've got Gannon and Ricky off the board on the MPO side. Fantastic picks. I am going to go. Wow, this is kind of sort of pretty tough. Okay, I'm going to go with. He had a bit of a rougher year last year than the year before, but I think he'll bounce back. I'm taking Calvin Heimberg. Calvin Heimberg off the board as my 3rd overall pick, and that brings us over to Shawnee G for back-to-back picks.
Okay. Let's go. I want to make sure I can lock in some FPO action here. So I'll take with Haley's schedule being completely unknown this year, can't definitely take her. I'll go Silva Saarinen, and I'll also take Ella Hansen.
Just taking all my favorite players, eh?
Yep, that's my plan. That's my plan.
Silva and Ella back to back, and that is going to wrap up Shawnee G's 3 FPO, which I don't know what that does for my strategy. I don't think it does very much. He won't take any more FPO now until one of the last 2 picks with his wild card, but Galen does need at least one more FPO.
And Galen notably is a wild card in decisions like this.
That is also very accurate. But I'm going to stick on the MPO side of things. And is there a chance that this player could make it back around to me? I'm going to risk it. I'm going to risk it. And I am going to take... Who do I've got? I've got Calvin so far. You know what? I'm going to do it. He didn't have any wins last year. He had 2 podiums, 8 top 10s, 15 top 20s in 17 events, only finished outside of the top 20 twice in his events. And I'm going to go with the robot chicken, Chris Dickerson. Shawnee G, I saw you shaking your head. Was that where you thought I was going?
It was not who I thought you were going, but that is a sneaky good pick. That is a good pick. I like it. He's super consistent. He's not super consistent on the podium, but he's super consistent where you're going to crank out some points. You're going to grind out some points. So not a bad pick.
And so looking at stats from 2024, he had the 3rd best average finish of anyone on tour. Gannon had an average place of 4.21, ridiculous. Ricky 5.27, also ridiculous. And then 3rd place was Chris Dickerson at 11.65. So yeah, I think that's a very safe pick in this format. So I'm going to go with Chris Dickerson. And that brings us back around to Galen for 2 picks back to back.
Yeah, I can't hate that, man. Consistency, especially with this format, is going to be king. So I dig that. I am curious who it was you were alluding to before when you're like, I don't know if they're going to make it back around. So I don't know if I'm playing spoiler now or what, but I'm going to lock in with my next pick, Nicholas Antala, who has had a heck of a couple of seasons and I think is ready to continue to build off of it. And next, I'm going to take friend of the pod, Natalie Ryan. And I feel like you got Own Dog, you got Evelina, you got Natalie. That is a pretty formidable crew of FPO players. So Nicholas and Natalie off the board. Robbie, back to you.
Yeah, Natalie Ryan had an average finish last season of 10.79. In 19 events, she had 3 podiums, 10 top 10s, and 18 top 20s. So only once all season did she miss the top 20 in an event that she played. Consistency like that, in FPO, it's if you finish outside the top 20, that's a deduction point. So getting someone that can stay consistently in that top 20 is going to be huge. I love that pick. Now I'm stuck in this point where I'm wondering if this player makes it back around to me again. I don't think so, though, because Sean is done his FPO right now. He can only make MPO picks until we get to the wild card rounds at the end. So I'm going to take this MPO player off the board, and this is a bit of a roller coaster. He's got some potential to give me some wins. He's got some potential to give me some negative points in finishing outside of the top 32, and I'm going to go with Mr. Anthony Barella. Anthony Barella still on the board in the 5th round. Crazy. He went, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember.
Isn't going to be for long.
I drafted him last year, and I can't remember if it was 1st overall or 2nd overall. but it was very high because we did the draft after like the first 3 events, I think. So AB already had like 2 wins early in the year, and I thought it was going to be electric. So I'm going to go for AB on my team again. I think he definitely has some potential to give me some wins this year. We're just going to hope that the negative point tournaments are kept to a minimum.
So I am going to go with a player who finished out of the top 20 last year only 5 times.
Joel?
Only 5 times. Had a sneaky good year. Part of it not so sneaky because, you know, he won the world championship. But I'm going to go with Isaac Robinson. Definitely going to go with Isaac.
Great
Robinson.
pick.
Yep. He may not win like tournaments other than the world championship, but you know, he's finishing top 10 quite a lot. So long as I think there will be fewer prodigy baskets on tour for him to complain about this year. So, you know, I like his odds. I like his odds to give me a consistent middle of the top 10 kind of finish. I think he'll be solid there. And then
yeah, it's a great pick. Isaac last year had an average finishing place of 14.62.
Absolutely solid. And you know what? Give me his brother as well. I'll take the double Robinsons.
Dang it.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta ask a hypothetical here then, because this is where I was debating on letting AB go to take Ezra Robinson. I really think Ezra is going to have a great year.
You would not have gotten either one of them.
Just for fun, I think we should allow Robbie to propose a trade to Sean if he wants to. Sean has no obligation to say yes, but Robbie, if you want to get some of those players, you want to trade somebody who's picked a little bit higher, I think you could make Sean an offer he can't refuse when we're done this year.
See if I make you an offer I can't refuse. I lost my train of thought going into my impersonation there. We'll see if I can come up with something. I doubt it though. But Sean, if I had taken Ezra in place of AB, would you have taken AB
Absolutely.
as one of your?
It would have been AB and Isaac. You would not have gotten them. Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, I was debating between taking Ezra and letting AB maybe fall to me in the next round, but wouldn't happen. So I do like I do think I would have taken AB over Ezra just based on the potential to win. AB definitely has a higher ceiling, but Ezra I think has a higher floor than AB. AB can definitely have some blow up events. So we will see where that goes. So I'm at 2 FPO right now, 3 MPO. So I need 1 more FPO and 2 more MPO. All right. I will keep it on the MPO side of things. And just looking through, I don't know about you guys. I'm personally looking at statmando.com. Their stats for majors and elite series events from last year. Lots of great little stats that you can see, including average place, which is what I'm going off. I have 2 of the top 4 average place finishers from last season, and I'm going to keep the trend going. I'm going to give myself 3 of the top 5 average finishers last year. In 23 events, he had 2 podiums, 10 top 10s, 15 top 20s for an average finish of 13.61, and I'm going with Kyle Klein. Very undercover good season last year. Very sneaky good season. Nothing crazy. He didn't have a win, only had 2 podiums, but 10 top 10s, pretty darn solid. So I'm going to take Kyle Klein.
And I am going to be annoyed because that is who I was hoping to take with my next pick. Yeah, great choice, man. He had a sneaky good season last year. Okay, so I was hoping to take Kyle Klein and one of Matty O and James Proctor, But I guess my decision is made. I will take Matty O and James Crawford as my next 2 picks here. I think those are 2 pretty, like Matty O can flare up and down a little bit sometimes, but I think of him also as being very closely associated in my head with consistency. And James has had at least 2 fantastic seasons, and I think he's still got a higher ceiling than he's hit so far. So lock those 2 in for me.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Matty O, James Proctor. Now I'm in debate.
Proctologist.
The proctologist. Or what does Nicholas Antela say? Proctorius? Something like that. Love that. It sounds so much cooler in a Finnish accent, too. All right, so we're back around to me. We are in the 7th round, so only 2 picks left before our wild card picks in the final 2 rounds. So I need 1 MPO, 1 FPO. And looking at the looking at what we've got left here, I'm trying to just skim through to see what players are taken compared to who's left on the board. Taken, not taken. Ooh, on the FPO side, but I think I'm going to skip over. And I am going to go with... Where did she finish? Did she finish outside of the... I got to make sure I don't accidentally take a wild card eligible player too soon. But I'm pretty sure this player... Oh, maybe she didn't make the... Am I not seeing her? Oh, no, there she is. Okay, she was in the Pro Tour Championship last year, so I think I'm going to take her here. Some stat breakdowns. She played 20 events, had 1 podium, 9 top 10s, a perfect 24-20 in top 20 finishes, so she wouldn't have scored me a single negative point last year, and she's a friend of the show. I'm going with Rebecca Cox. Give me Rebecca for my last FPO pick before the wild card, of course. But I'm going to take Rebecca Cox.
Love that pick. Love that pick.
Yeah,
fantastic.
I'm happy with that one.
So what do I got? I got back-to-back boys here.
Yeah. You finished your FPO very early.
Yeah.
So you've just got MPO left here until the wild card. So
okay, who is still on the board? Some options here. He's gone. I don't think I can trust him in his top. What is for MPO? Top what?
32.
Top 32. No, I don't. It's weird passing by Paul Macbeth, but
Right.
Can't do it. Let's give the young gun a chance and go with Buckets. Give me Buckets.
Joey Buckets. I absolutely love that. He finished 11th last year in the Pro Tour standings.
Yeah.
And in 22 events, he had 1 win, 2 podiums, 7 top 10s, 10 top 20s for an average finish of 27.23. Definitely had some very good high marks during the season, though. I think he might have had a couple like really low place finishes that'll really bring up that average. But he's a very sturdy player, so I like that pick a lot.
And for my last pick, man, will he be healthy enough this year? Will Eagle McMahon be healthy enough to give me some good numbers? He had a whole bunch outside of the top 30 last year. Don't know. We already talked about him on the show so far. His putt is looking fantastic. Fresh off some great results down in New Zealand. Gimme Goose. He's coming to Canadian Nationals. Gimme Aaron Gossage. Final pick.
Love it. Great pick there. And that leaves me with 1 MPO pick to make. And I am kind of torn. But I do believe that, yeah, looking back on his season, there's a couple bad ones in there sprinkled in that would have served me some negatives. But in the whole of the season, this player actually has the highest average finish of anyone still on the board. 22 events played, 5 podiums, 11 top 10s, 15 top 20s for an average place of 19.77. I'm pretty sure he also, yes, he finished 6th in the Pro Tour standings last year, ahead of Ezra Robinson, ahead of Anthony Barella, ahead of Chris Dickerson. I'm taking the GOAT, Mr. Paul Macbeth.
I was really hoping to get the opportunity to take Paul Macbeth with the last what were we calling him? Non-dark horse
Wild
pick.
card.
Wild card
Yeah,
pick.
dark horse.
As soon as you got pretty far down that description, I was like, God damn it, he's taking Paul, isn't he? Man. How dare you? That's twice now. Twice now you've burned me, Robbie
He
Volta.
saved you from yourself. Paul Macbeth is forked. He's done. He's over.
It's officially
Washed.
Fork in him.
Yep.
That's stick a fork in him. He's done. Okay. Well, since I can't take Paul Macbeth with the last pick, I got to go with Aaron Gossage. Lock it in. Let's go with Goose.
Trying to steal my pick. I already picked him.
What?
How do you pick Joey Buckets?
I did. I had 2. I had
You went back to
2.
back, eh? Okay.
He didn't take Chris Brown, which is written in our notes right now. I'm not sure who put that in.
I don't know who would have done that. That's crazy. That's
No,
ridiculous.
I had Goose. So
Oh man,
get out of here.
Forced to reassess.
Get out of here.
I understand. Okay. If you want to keep all the good players for yourself, that's fine. I get it.
And how this works.
There's still some good players on the board, but I'm not sure who I want to take though. Oh, I think it was just that you talked for so long that I got
That's
lulled
fair.
into like
That is fair.
He lulled me to sleep, and I woke up and I was like, Aaron Gossage. But since I can't take him,
Eagle.
A little note on the MPO side.
I'm thinking about him, man. But
yeah.
he's just, there's been so much injury trouble the last year and a half or so that even though his ceiling is so high, I just go, the floor is really low right now. And I don't know if he's going to be closer to that ceiling, because if he is, I'm going to look like an idiot for not taking him. But if he's at that floor, I'm going to thank my lucky stars. So
You might want to
looking at the stats for 2024, everyone in the top 10 of average finish has been taken so far. You've done very good at taking the best players that consistently are in the top 20. So
I'm going to give you a gift. It is a name that
so
you
nice of
will
you.
not
Thank you.
have thought about.
Okay.
Evan Smith.
It's a name I was thinking about 4 seconds ago, but thank you for making me think about it even more.
You should take Evan Smith, I would say. He only had five finishes outside of the top 21 last year. He is among the highest rated players on tour. He's up there.
Yeah.
You know, you should take him.
13th highest average finish of any player last season.
You should take him.
Yeah, no, it's not bad at all. Was it Evan Smith that you intentionally took or tried to take and you weren't able to take?
He took Evan Scott instead of Evan Smith.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about Evan. I was thinking about Mason Ford. He's pretty consistent. I thought about maybe reaching a little bit lower. Front of the show, Luke Taylor's down there. Simon Lizotte.
I think Luke Taylor could have a great year.
Jakob Semerad got into a lot of events. But another name I think of when I think of consistency, not necessarily the highest peaks, but the valleys aren't that low. I'm going to go with Joel Freeman as my last pick. That is a man that consistently performs well. If I look at the 2024 stats, he has one of the higher average finishes of players that are still on the board. But more importantly for me, if I'm looking back to 2023, looking back to 2022, he's been in the top 15 of average finish in majors each of those past 3 years. So I like him to continue the trend of performing well on a consistent basis. Evan Smith could make me look stupid. Eagle could make me look stupid, but I'm going Joel Freeman.
Joel Freeman could absolutely make you look stupid. Mostly because he himself looks a little stupid out there. Also,
that strawberry shirt is amazing.
It is an amazing shirt. I'll give you that. Also, he doesn't have a disc sponsor this year. He's going open bag. He's not on Team Innova.
Yep.
I don't know what he's throwing. It'll be interesting to see.
Well, I did that for him because he can still throw Innova, and he can also throw anything the heck else he wants.
He absolutely can.
I think he technically signed a sponsorship with Infinite, right? So it'll be open bag, but Infinite as the I guess retail sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure he'll pick up some of their discs as well, and probably a lot of Innova still, I would assume. It will be interesting to see though, for sure. And that brings us to the end of the standard picks. It's back to you, Galen, again for back-to-back. You are now on your wild card. No order on which you want to take. You can either take your FPO first or your MPO, and then it'll be back around to you to finish the draft for your next pick. But you got one pick now for your wild card.
Yeah, and I have two players in mind. I think both of them could conceivably make it back around to me. I think very conceivably they could both go really quick too. So I'm sort of going back and forth. And I'm not going to say them out loud. I don't want to. There's a chance you guys aren't thinking of one of them. I don't want to put that person on your radar. I am going to go for my first wild card pick with the one I think one of you is most likely to think of first. I'm going to go with Ezra Aderhold. The largest arms on tour, and also he can throw kind of far. Just outside the top 32 at 35 last year. I'm going to take the man with the two guns that are on show at every event, Ezra Aderhold.
Fantastic pick there. I am pretty torn on who I want to pick here. I think I know who I want to take on the MPO side. So it's just a matter of, do I think Sean will take this player on the MPO side? There's a chance. There's a chance. But I will risk it. I will risk it. And I will instead lock in my FPO pick. And I am going to go with there's a couple I am debating between but oh, this player is so interesting, but I don't know if she's gonna play a full season or not. I don't know. Let me quickly ramble here while I type her into PDGA to see what she's signed up for. She is signed up for, okay, good amount, and that gives me enough confidence to pick her here. And it feels almost like a little bit of a cheat, but she did not make it to the Pro Tour Championship last year because she missed most of the season being pregnant, and now she is back, and I am going to go with two-time world champion Katrina Allen.
That was the other one I was mentioning where I went, I don't know who's more likely to get off the board first. I figured the more obvious name was Ezra, but I also figured there was a decent chance that Katrina went pretty quick too. I love that pick, man. I think she's got a high ceiling.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like she would have easily made the Pro Tour Championship last year if she just played more than only a handful of events because she had a kid. She's still one of the best throwers of the disc in the world. Can get the putting yips sometimes, but I'm loving that pick as a wild card. So Shawnee G, over to you. You have back-to-back picks here, so you can do both your wild cards.
Man. The thing I'm not sure about this year is how many European events are they going to be doing? The cost, there's a lot of time to spend over in Europe. And so I'm trying to factor that in and give some consideration if they're going to do, a full tour. And it is tough. It is tough. I will go with, I'll take Raven Klein. I think I picked her last year as my wild card as well. I'll take Raven on the FPO side and over on MPO. So Ezra's off the board. Somebody I know is gonna play. Oh, you know what? Will he play a full tour? Because he's got a recent kid. I don't know if he will. Will Paul Ulibarri spend all that time over in Europe? He plays a full tour. He likes it, but will he? I don't know if he's going to play a lot of the European events. Give me Bradley Williams. Give me
Bradley Williams.
Give me
I
Bradley
like that.
Williams. Yep, I'll take him. Yep,
I like that pick a lot. Bradley Williams. All right. And that is, did you make both your picks? I forget now.
Yes, I did. Raven Klein
yes.
and
right, Raven.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. So we are back around to me. I already know who I'm going to lock in for this pick. Let's see if I can quickly see his name on my list of players here. Yes. Okay. So, these stats do not bring me confidence. In 21 events, he had 0 wins, 0 podiums, 1 top 10, only 4 top 20s, an average finish of 46.48. But the second half of his year, I believe, was much better. And I am confident he can turn it around and get things going this year again. When I was first coming into watching the pro side of the sport at like 2017, 18-ish, he was one of my favorite players to watch. I'm happy to have him on my team. I'm going with Mr. KJ USA. Kevin Jones.
Certainly all the talent is there. He's now being his second season with his Innova bag. Yep. I don't hate it. I was considering it. I don't hate it.
Yeah, I seriously thought about it too. But, man, yeah, it just, for me, I just feel like he's maybe been just a step behind where I would have expected he would be for just a little bit longer than I'm comfortable with. But if he gets back on form, goddamn, look out. So I guess that brings it back to me to close it out. Is that right, fellas?
Correct.
All right. I went back and forth on this one a few times. I'm going to assume that this player is not going to be playing in Europe this year unless her mom says she can and goes with her. I am going to take friend of the show, minivan sitter extraordinaire Eliezra Middling as my wildcard pick on the FPO side. I think she has such phenomenal potential that even if she misses some events, if she hits 90% of her ceiling this year, look the hell out. Lock it in. Ellie.
Absolutely love that pick. I was definitely debating on taking her as my FPO choice. Would have been a great pick. So hard to argue with that. I mean, she just missed the cut line of making the Pro Tour Championship last year. So hopefully she can do that this year. And next year won't qualify as a wild card in this draft. But for this year, she is a great pick in the wild card round. So I will give a real quick real quick, try and blast through this as fast as I can. Recap of our teams. Galen has Gannon Burr, Owen Scoggins, Evelina Salonen, Nicholas Antala, Natalie Ryan, Matt Oram, James Proctor, Joel Freeman, Ezra Aderhold, and Eliezer Midling. I've got Kristen Latt, Missy Gannon, Calvin Heimberg, Chris Dickerson, Anthony Barella, Kyle Klein, Rebecca Cox, Paul Macbeth, Katrina Allen, and Kevin Jones. And Shawnee G has Ricky Wysocki, Holland Hanley, Silva Sodernen, Ella Hansen, Isaac Robinson, Ezra Robinson, Joey Buckets Anderson, Aaron Gossage, Raven Klein, and Bradley Williams. So we are going to keep track of this through the season. I have already set up a spreadsheet that I put way more effort into than I really needed to at all for this. But I will keep track. It's going to automatically, keep adding the points together through the season and keep track of that. So maybe we'll do a little mid-season check-in at some point and see how this is going. But in the meantime, that is how it is going to go. So, anybody listening to this, leave a comment on our Instagram who you think is going to win, who you think had the best team. Maybe we can get a little graphic out. People can vote on and see who they think will be the winner by the end of the season. But with that, that is going to bring an end to our 2025 Missed Mando Fantasy Draft. Fellas, any comments on how that draft went?
It seems pretty balanced, man. I was just taking a look back at those teams as you were reading them out, and I feel like this is anybody's game to start. I mean, I think any of these three teams could easily win it at year's end. So I'm rooting for mine, but I won't be shocked if I'm third. I also won't be shocked if I'm first because, I picked the team. It's pretty great. But it's going to be tight is my only thought.
I'm trying to go ahead, Sean.
I am just so excited for the Pro Tour to start back up again. Love watching it pretty much every weekend, and getting to come on here and chat with you boys a little bit about it. DGN locked in, ready to go. Cannot wait for some of these events, and very glad that some of last year's events are not on the tour this year. DDO gone. Thank you. Kona Pishte back. Very cool. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a fantastic pro season. Very much excited to see how the season plays out, and who we can get on the show to talk about how their season's going. We're working on a couple things right now. Maybe a little Pro Tour preview from some pros, and we'll see if it make it happen. Let's see.
We will see. It's going to be a big year for disc golf, a big year for us here on Missed Mando. And I'm taking a quick little look at, I was trying to see who might be some of the bigger omissions from this draft, at just looking at the stats and last year's standings. And number 7 overall in the FPO standings, we missed out on. She also was 9th in overall average place with an average finish of 9.32. She only missed the top 20 twice, had 13 top 10s. Cat Merch left off of the draft. I think that was a big one. Heidi Line as well was 18 for 18 in top 20s. Average finish of 9.39. And with 18 events, I mean, that's still a high number. You look at some of the Europeans have a bit of fluctuated numbers if they only played in Europe, and their top 20 percentage could be 10 of 10. But 18 of 18, that's still pretty impressive. So Heidi Line, and on the MPO side, I mean, we did a pretty darn good job of getting through the entire top 13, I think, in average finish from last year were all taken. But some of the higher notable absences: Evan Smith, Cole Radalin, Jakub Semerad, Bradley Williams, Gavin Rathbun, going into a season on a new team being sponsored by Prodigy this year. Could he have a big season? All things to definitely look out for. Simon Lizotte way down. He didn't really have the best year last year, though. So not a big shocker there. Eagle McMahon as well. We talked about the injury stuff. So lots of names still out there. We will see how it goes. But that is going to bring an end to our 2025 fantasy drafts and our 2025 season award predictions. This has been an excellent episode, getting ready, getting fired up for the start of the Pro Tour season. It is right around the corner. When you're listening to this, when we drop this on Thursday, the start of the Pro Tour season will be 1 day away. On Friday, round 1 of the Supreme Flight Open down in Brooksville, Florida. Cannot wait. But for now, that is going to do it for us here on Missed Mando. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the show. For Sean Galbraith and Galen Naidu Harris, I'm Robbie Holden, and we will see you on the course.